You ever wonder what makes someone just stick in your mind? It's not always about looks or having the perfect conversation. Today, we're getting into a really cool psychological tool that helps create this kind of lasting intrigue, making you someone he just can't stop thinking about. All right, so let's just jump right in. What is it that makes a person completely unforgettable? Is it being funny, or beautiful, or having tons in common? Sure, all that stuff helps. But the real secret to becoming unforgettable, well, it's a lot more strategic. It's all about how you make his brain work.
And this quote just nails it. The idea is to become a little bit of a puzzle. You see, by intentionally leaving a story or a thought unfinished, you create this little empty space in his mind that only you can fill. And this isn't just some clever dating trick. It's actually rooted in some pretty fascinating brain science.
Yeah, this whole idea is built on a very real, proven principle from psychology. In fact, it's the exact same reason you can't stop watching a show on Netflix, or why you just have to finish that one last chapter of a book at 2 a.m. It's all about the cliffhanger.
So, here's the official name for it, the Zeigarnik effect. All it really means is that our brains are basically hardwired to hate unfinished business. When something is left incomplete, our mind gives it a VIP pass straight to the front of our memory, and it stays there until we get some closure.
What's so interesting is that this unfinished task creates what psychologists call psychic tension. We're going to call it an open loop. Seriously, think of it like a browser tab that your brain just will not let you close. It's that slight, nagging tension that keeps our focus locked in.
And that leads to the most important point. Our minds are completion-seeking machines. They just crave it. So until that loop you've opened is finally closed, his brain will just keep circling back to that unfinished thought. And of course, back to you, the person who started it.
This little chart breaks it down perfectly. A finished story? That's a closed loop. It becomes a passive memory, easily filed away and forgotten. But an unfinished story? That's an open loop. It creates active tension. It keeps him mentally hooked, constantly revisiting you and the story in his mind.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do this? Let's break down how to turn this psychological concept into a strategy you can actually use.
It really is all about mastering the art of the exit. So you start telling a great story, something personal and compelling. You build up the suspense, you get right to the best part, and then you create a reason to stop. You glance at your phone, you say, oh my gosh, I totally forgot, I have to run, and then you deliver the crucial line. I'll have to tell you the rest next time.
When you do this, you're not just leaving him with a nice memory of the conversation. Nope. You are literally planting an active, unresolved task right in the middle of his brain. So he's not just thinking back on your time together. His mind is now actively waiting for you to come back and close that loop.
Now, if you really want to level this up, you apply the technique to the things that human beings are most curious about, which are, social dynamics and romance.
I mean, can you imagine dropping a line like this? Of course, he's immediately going to ask, What did you hear? And when he does, you just playfully put him off. Boom, a massive loop is now open. His brain will be scrambling, trying to guess what you heard, and every single scenario he comes up with is going to revolve around you.
Or you could try this one, which is even more powerful. By hinting at a dream about the two of you and then delaying the reveal, you basically guarantee he's going to spend all his time between now and when he sees you again in what's called mental rehearsal. He's fantasizing, he's speculating, he is constantly wondering about you.
And that mental rehearsal is so important, because all that time he's spending thinking about you, wondering about you, that's a subconscious investment of his emotional energy into you. The source material actually argues that this process is what literally builds the neurological pathways for deep attraction and falling in love.
So the last piece of this puzzle is a total game changer. It's about shifting the whole dynamic from being someone he remembers to being someone he cannot wait to see again.
A statement like this is just masterful. It's a promise of a future experience, but with absolutely no details. It creates this incredibly powerful open loop that's all about what's coming next. You've anchored his imagination not in the past, but in a future that he's now excited about, a future that includes you.
And this slide just shows that transformation so clearly. You're moving the relationship from a stagnant, predictable dynamic focused on past memories to one that is captivating, stimulating, and focused on the future. Instead of always closing loops and tying things up neatly, you're always hinting at the next one.
What this really does is it makes you seem like you have infinite layers. He never feels like he's fully figured you out. Just as one mystery gets solved, you hint at another one. It keeps the connection feeling fresh, new, and exciting, and it prevents that kind of boredom that can settle into any relationship.
So, in the end, the real art of being unforgettable isn't just about telling one great story and leaving it unfinished. It's about becoming a storyteller who understands that the most exciting part is always the promise of what's coming next. So the question is never, how do I end this conversation? It's, how will I start the anticipation for the next one?
You can find the electronic version of book She Who Awakens by Alina Chamberlain at wishforlove.org.